The glass shatters. The lights go dark. And in that single, heart-stopping moment, you realize everything you thought you knew about WWE just changed forever. Tonight, we're diving into the most jaw-dropping, spine-tingling, absolutely insane legend returns that had the entire wrestling world losing their minds. And trust me, some of these comebacks, you won't believe they actually happened. Stick around because number 3 on this list literally broke the internet and had grown men crying in the crowd. Before we get into this madness, do me a favor. If you're a true wrestling fan, hit that subscribe button right now. You're part of the WrestleCore family, and we're building something special here together. Every subscription helps us bring you more content about the moments that made us fall in love with this business. Now let's talk about the returns that nobody saw coming. Let's start with a return that happened just recently and sent shockwaves through the entire industry. After 10 years away from the squared circle, 10 long years of fans wondering if we'd ever see her lace up her boots again, AJ Lee walked back through that curtain. September 2025. The rumors had been swirling for weeks. The internet was buzzing. Merchandise mysteriously appeared on WWE Shop, but nothing could prepare fans for the moment her music hit on SmackDown. The 3-time Divas champion, the woman who held that title for a record-breaking 295 days, was back. And she didn't come alone. The setup was perfect. CM Punk, her husband, had been embroiled in a heated rivalry with Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. When Lynch delivered a low blow to Punk at Clash in Paris, helping Rollins retain his championship, the stage was set. But when Becky slapped Punk repeatedly on Raw, everyone knew something big was coming. Then it happened. AJ Lee returned to WWE television for the first time since her retirement in 2015, and the place went absolutely ballistic. The emotion on her face, the roar of the crowd, it was everything wrestling is supposed to be. At WrestlePalooza, WWE's first premium live event on ESPN, AJ and Punk faced off against Lynch and Rollins in a mixed tag team match that delivered beyond anyone's wildest expectations. And AJ? She made Becky tap out to the Black Widow, proving that a decade away couldn't diminish her ability to captivate an audience. But here's where it gets interesting. AJ's return isn't your typical full-time comeback. She's operating on her own schedule, appearing when the story calls for it, making each appearance feel like a special event. Teaming with Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss, and once again made Becky Lynch submit. 2 matches, 2 submissions, and the legend of AJ Lee continues to grow. The question on everyone's mind now is when will we see her again? And more importantly, could we get a dream match between AJ and Paige, who's been teasing a potential return herself? The 2 former rivals have been exchanging messages on social media, and fans are already losing their minds at the possibility. Now, let's rewind the clock to January 2020, the Royal Rumble, and talk about a return that absolutely nobody thought was possible. Edge, the rated R superstar, the ultimate opportunist, the man who was forced to retire in 2011 due to a career-ending neck injury. For 9 years, Edge was told he could never wrestle again. 9 years of watching from the sidelines. 9 years of wondering, what if? 9 years of that void in his soul that only stepping through those ropes could fill. And then at the 2020 Royal Rumble, when the countdown clock hit 0 and his music exploded through the speakers, the world stopped. The reaction was unlike anything we'd seen in years. Grown men were literally crying in the crowd. The camera caught Edge himself getting emotional as he sprinted down to the ring, his eyes wide with disbelief at what was happening. This wasn't just a return. This was a resurrection. This was a man reclaiming something that had been stolen from him by injury, fighting his way back through countless surgeries and rehabilitation, and finally getting the chance to do what he was born to do, one more time. The pop from the Houston crowd was deafening, one of those rare moments where the audio levels couldn't even capture the sheer volume of emotion pouring out of every single person in that arena. What made Edge's return even more incredible was what came after. This wasn't a one-off nostalgia pop. Edge went on to have legitimate feuds with Randy Orton, culminating in what many consider one of the greatest matches of 2020. He competed in championship matches at WrestleMania. He created the Judgment Day faction, launching the careers of Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest, and Dominic Mysterio into the stratosphere. He wrestled until 2023 before heading to AEW as Adam Copeland, proving that his second chapter was just as important as his first. But nothing, And I mean nothing will ever top that moment at the Royal Rumble when the impossible became possible. Speaking of the impossible, let's talk about John Cena at the 2008 Royal Rumble. This one was different because it wasn't just that Cena returned, it was when he returned. Cena had torn his pectoral muscle completely off the bone in October of 2007. The diagnosis? 4 to 6 months minimum. He was supposed to be out until at least March or April. So when the 30th and final entrant in the Royal Rumble was about to be revealed, nobody, and I mean nobody, had John Cena on their bingo card. The man had only been out for 3.5 months. Madison Square Garden exploded when Cena's music hit. Triple H's face inside the ring told the entire story. Complete shock, utter disbelief. The injury that should have kept WWE's biggest star out for half a year. Cena destroyed that timeline with what can only be described as a superhuman recovery. He charged to the ring, eliminated 4 people, including the Game himself, and won the entire match. It was vintage Cena, defying expectations, proving doubters wrong, and delivering one of the most memorable Royal Rumble moments in the match's history. The return cemented Cena's reputation as someone who simply refuses to accept limitations, and it gave fans a moment they still talk about to this day. But if we're talking about returns that changed everything, we have to discuss WrestleMania 33 and the Hardy Boyz. Matt and Jeff Hardy had been gone from WWE for 7 years. 7 years of tearing it up in TNA, Ring of Honor, and the independent circuit. 7 years of fans wondering if they'd ever see Team Extreme back in a WWE ring. The rumors were there. The Hardys were in the area. They'd just wrestled the Young Bucks in Ring of Honor the night before. But most people dismissed it as wishful thinking. No way WWE would pull the trigger on something that massive without more buildup, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. The Camping World Stadium in Orlando was hosting a ladder match for the Raw Tag Team Championships. The New Day, serving as hosts of WrestleMania, announced a mystery team entering the match. And then it hit. That familiar melody. The Hardy Boyz theme music echoed through the stadium, and over 70,000 people lost their collective minds. Matt and Jeff Hardy sprinted through the curtain, and the place erupted like a volcano. Kids were screaming, adults were jumping out of their seats. Even the commentators couldn't contain themselves. This wasn't just a return, this was a homecoming. This was poetry in motion personified. The Hardy Boyz didn't just show up, they won the championships that night, capturing tag team gold together in WWE for the first time since 2007. It was the perfect feel-good moment at the biggest show of the year, and it reminded everyone why ladder matches and the Hardy Boyz are synonymous in wrestling history. The nostalgia combined with genuine athletic excellence created one of the most unforgettable WrestleMania moments ever, and it set the stage for another incredible run in WWE. Now let's talk about a return that literally changed the course of wrestling history. November 2001, Survivor Series. The Monday Night Wars were over. WCW was dead. WWE had won. And then, at the pay-per-view, something magical happened. The New World Order, the faction that nearly destroyed WWE, was about to debut. But first, Ric Flair made his return after being gone since early 1993. The Nature Boy was back, and just 1 month later, he'd be standing in the ring at WrestleMania 18, face-to-face with The Rock, in one of the most electric atmospheres in wrestling history. But Flair's return was just the beginning, because that same night, the groundwork was laid for Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall to return to WWE. These weren't just any wrestlers. These were the men who nearly put Vince McMahon out of business. The leaders of the faction that made WCW must-see television every Monday night, and now they were coming home. When they finally appeared at No Way Out 2002, reforming the NWO on WWE television, it felt surreal. The original NWO trio was back, and the possibilities seemed endless. Hogan's return in particular was special. 1 month after No Way Out, he stood across the ring from The Rock at WrestleMania 18, and the crowd reaction was unlike anything we'd ever seen. The fans in Toronto completely hijacked the match, cheering Hogan and booing The Rock, creating one of the most memorable atmospheres in WrestleMania history. Hogan basked in the adulation, soaking in every second of a reaction he hadn't received in years. It was a return that reminded everyone that no matter how much time passes, true legends never lose their ability to connect with an audience. CM Punk, Survivor Series 2023, Chicago. These three elements combined created one of the loudest, most explosive returns in modern wrestling history. Punk had left WWE in early 2014, burnt out, battling injuries, and fed up with the direction of the company. He spent years away, briefly appeared in AEW before that relationship imploded, and then he was gone again. Most people assumed CM Punk and WWE were done forever. The bridges seemed too burned, the wounds too fresh, the egos too big. And then, as Survivor Series War Games was ending, as the show was about to go off the air, those opening notes of Cult of Personality hit. The place detonated. Chicago, Punk's hometown, lost their minds in a way that only Chicago could. The best in the world was back in WWE, and the implications were staggering. This wasn't some part-timer showing up for a paycheck. This was CM Punk, one of the most talented and controversial figures in wrestling history, returning to the company he walked out on nearly a decade earlier. The return has led to incredible rivalries with Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre, matches that have already become instant classics, and a run that's proven Punk still has plenty left in the tank. What makes all these returns special isn't just the surprise factor, it's what they represent. It's the reminder that in wrestling, anything can happen. It's the proof that sometimes the best stories are the ones we never see coming. It's the emotion of seeing someone we thought was gone forever, walking back through that curtain. AJ Lee proving a decade away couldn't diminish her star power. Edge showing that retirement doesn't have to be permanent. Cena demonstrating that superhuman determination can overcome any obstacle. The Hardy Boyz reminding us why we fell in love with tag team wrestling. Hogan and the NWO bringing an entire era full circle. CM Punk's redemption arc that continues to this day. These moments matter because they're bigger than wrestling. They're about second chances, overcoming adversity, proving doubters wrong, and the unbreakable bond between performers and fans. When that music hits, and someone we never expected to see again walks through that curtain, we're reminded why we love this business. We're reminded that wrestling at its core is about telling stories that make us feel something. And nothing makes us feel more than seeing our heroes return when we thought we'd never see them again. As we head into 2026, the return season is just getting started. Goldberg has confirmed his retirement match is happening this year, likely against Gunther, in what promises to be an absolute war. John Cena's retirement tour is in full swing, with appearances at Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, and WrestleMania 41 marking the end of an era. Charlotte Flair is gearing up for her return after being out since December 2023. The Rock continues to tease appearances, and who knows what other surprises Triple H has up his sleeve, with Raw moving to Netflix and WWE riding higher than it has in years. The beauty of wrestling is that we never know when the next legendary return is going to happen. It could be at the Royal Rumble. It could be the Raw after WrestleMania. It could be a random episode of SmackDown. But whenever it happens, wherever it happens, you can bet the wrestling world will stop, collectively hold its breath, and then explode in celebration. Because that's what returns do. They remind us why we're here. They remind us why we care. They remind us that in this business, hope springs eternal, and legends never truly die. That's our look at the most shocking WWE legend returns in history. But here's the thing, WrestleCore family, we're just getting started. There are so many more stories to tell, so many more moments to relive, and I need you with me on this journey. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Smash that like button to help this video reach more wrestling fans. Drop a comment below and tell me which return shocked you the most, or better yet, tell me which legend you're hoping makes a surprise comeback in 2026. Are you Team Batista? Team Kurt Angle? Maybe you're holding out hope for someone completely unexpected. Let's discuss it down in the comments. And hey, share this video with your wrestling friends. We're building something special here at WrestleCore, and every single one of you makes that possible. Your support means everything, and I promise to keep delivering the content that celebrates why we love this crazy, beautiful, unpredictable business. Until next time, remember that in WWE, you never know when a legend might walk through that curtain one more time. Keep watching, keep believing, and I'll see you in the next video.